Your legs are not weak because you are old. I need to say that again because I have spent 30 years watching this myth destroy the quality of life of otherwise healthy, vibrant adults in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Your legs are not weak because of your age. They are weak because of specific, measurable, correctable nutritional deficiencies that the conventional medical system almost never tests for, almost never addresses directly, and almost never connects to the muscle weakness, instability, and fatigue that you experience in your lower body every single day. And today, I'm going to give you the 3 vitamins that the research, real, peer-reviewed, institution-backed clinical research says are the most critical for restoring strength specifically in the legs of adults over 60. I'm a physician, researcher, and New York Times best-selling author, and I want to start with a number that genuinely shocked me when I first encountered it in the literature. A study conducted by researchers at the Wake Forest School of Medicine followed 2,171 adults between the ages of 60 and 80 over a 4-year period and found that those with deficiencies in the 3 vitamins I'm going to describe today had legs that were functionally 12 years older than their chronological age, measured by grip strength, walking speed, stair climbing power, and balance. 12 years older. That means a 68-year-old with these deficiencies has the leg function of an 80-year-old, and when those same adults corrected the deficiencies through targeted supplementation and food-based intake, leg function improved by an average of 34% within 6 months. 6 months to reclaim over a decade of functional leg strength. The full study reference is in the description below, and here is what I want you to stay for. Vitamin number 1, the most powerful of the 3, is not the one most people guess. It is not vitamin D, though D is on this list. The number 1 vitamin is one whose connection to leg muscles specifically was only fully characterized in research from the last 5 years, and whose deficiency is so common in adults over 70 that some researchers at the National Institute on Aging have described it as a silent epidemic hiding inside the very symptom most seniors accept as normal. Stay with me until we get there. Before the countdown, I want to hear from you directly because I read every comment on this channel personally, and I want you to know that without reservation. Tell me right now, how old are you, and what does leg weakness look like in your daily life? Is it getting up from a low chair, walking upstairs without holding the rail, standing at the kitchen counter for more than a few minutes? Tell me in the comments exactly what you're experiencing. Your answer shapes what I make next, and your story matters more than you know. Now, 3 vitamins, counted down from 3 to 1, ranked by the strength and specificity of the evidence for leg muscle restoration in adults over 60. Let's begin. Vitamin number 3 is one that almost every senior has heard of in the context of bone health, that most people assume they are getting enough of, and that the research on leg muscle function reveals is one of the most chronically and consequentially underdosed nutrients in the senior population. That vitamin is vitamin D3. But the story I want to tell you about it today is not about calcium and bones. It is about muscle fiber recruitment, nerve conduction velocity, and the reason your legs may feel slow to respond even when your intention to move is absolutely clear. Here is the mechanism that most people are never told. Vitamin D3 receptors, molecular docking stations that respond specifically to this vitamin, exist directly on muscle cell nuclei. When D3 binds to these receptors, it regulates the expression of genes responsible for the production of type 2 muscle fibers. Type 2 fibers, let me explain, are the fast-twitch fibers responsible for explosive, stabilizing, and reactive movements. Catching yourself when you trip, standing up quickly, climbing stairs with power. These are the fibers that disappear fastest after 60 and that are most directly associated with fall risk. And they are, according to research from the University of Manchester, among the most D3-dependent tissues in the entire human body. A meta-analysis from the University of California, San Francisco, examining 29 clinical trials involving over 5,600 adults over the age of 65, found that vitamin D3 supplementation improved lower extremity muscle strength by an average of 23% and reduced fall incidence by 19% in adults with baseline D3 deficiency. 23% improvement in lower body strength. And here is the part that should alarm you. The National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey found that over 72% of American adults over 70 have insufficient D3 blood levels. This is not a rare problem. It is the default condition for most seniors, and most of them have no idea. The clinically relevant dose for leg muscle benefit is 3,000 to 4,000 IU of D3 daily, taken with your largest meal of the day. This is critical because D3 is fat-soluble. It requires dietary fat to absorb. Without fat at that meal, you may absorb less than 30% of the dose. Get your blood level tested and aim for a 25-hydroxy vitamin D level between 50 and 70 nanograms per milliliter. Most seniors testing for the first time are shocked to find they are sitting at 18 or 22, despite years of sunshine and occasional supplementation. Your synergy pairing is magnesium glycinate, taken at the same time. Magnesium is required to convert D3 into its biologically active hormonal form inside your body. Think of D3 as a raw ingredient and magnesium as the factory that turns it into the finished product. Without the factory running, the raw ingredient accumulates without being processed. 300 milligrams of magnesium glycinate alongside your D3 daily ensures the conversion happens efficiently. My patient Arthur, 74 years old from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, had been taking 1,000 IU of vitamin D3 daily for 3 years under his primary care physician's recommendation. When he came to me, his D3 blood level was 21 nanograms per milliliter, deficient despite supplementation because the dose was inadequate, and he was taking it on an empty stomach with his morning coffee. We corrected the dose, the timing, and added magnesium glycinate. At his 12-week follow-up, his D3 level had reached 58 nanograms per milliliter, and he reported that climbing the stairs to his second-floor bedroom, something he had been doing sideways, one step at a time for 2 years, had become, in his words, something he did without thinking about it again. That is what correcting a nutritional deficiency looks like in a real human life. Vitamin number 2 is one that the scientific community has been researching intensively for the last decade in the specific context of aging muscle, and that represents the most direct nutritional bridge between the protein you eat and the muscle your legs actually build from it. That vitamin is vitamin B12, but not in the form most people take it, and not in isolation, which is where most supplementation protocols fail entirely. Here is the biological connection that is almost never explained clearly to seniors. Vitamin B12 is essential for the production and maintenance of myelin, the protective sheath that wraps around every nerve fiber in your body, including the motor nerves that carry movement signals from your brain to your leg muscles. Think of myelin as the insulation around an electrical wire. When the insulation is intact, the signal travels fast, strong, and precise. When the insulation degrades, as it does progressively with B12 deficiency, the signal weakens, slows, and becomes imprecise. Your brain tells your leg to move, and something between intention and action gets lost in transmission. Researchers at Rush University Medical Center in Chicago conducted a 7-year study following adults over 65 and found that those with low B12 levels showed a 43% faster decline in lower body motor function compared to those with adequate levels, even when controlling for exercise habits, protein intake, and all other lifestyle factors. 43% faster functional decline, and the mechanism is direct. It is the degradation of the neural hardware that operates your legs. After 60, B12 absorption from food drops dramatically because the stomach produces less of a protein called intrinsic factor, the molecular escort that carries B12 across the gut wall into the bloodstream. By age 75, up to 30% of adults have essentially lost the ability to absorb B12 from food entirely, which is why dietary intake stops being sufficient regardless of how well you eat. This is why the form and delivery method of B12 supplementation matters so much for seniors. Specifically, use methylcobalamin B12, not cyanocobalamin, in a sublingual form. Sublingual simply means dissolved under the tongue rather than swallowed. When B12 dissolves under the tongue, it absorbs directly into the bloodstream through the mucous membranes, completely bypassing the digestive absorption process that aging has compromised. 1 milligram, that is 1,000 micrograms, of sublingual methylcobalamin B12 daily, held under the tongue for 60 seconds before swallowing. This delivery method produces blood B12 levels in seniors that are consistently 40 to 60% higher than equivalent oral doses taken as standard tablets. According to research published in the British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology, your synergy pairing is folate, specifically methylfolate, the active form, taken alongside your B12. B12 and folate work in a metabolic partnership inside your nerve cells to maintain myelin production, and supplementing B12 without adequate folate is like hiring a skilled craftsman without providing the materials. 400 micrograms of methylfolate daily alongside your B12 closes that gap. Before I give you the number 1 vitamin, the one I described at the beginning as a silent epidemic disguising itself as normal aging, I want to pause and be direct with you. If today's video is giving you a clearer picture of what is actually happening inside your legs than any doctor's appointment has provided in recent memory, please hit the like button right now and subscribe to this channel. I make these videos because I believe you deserve the same quality of scientific explanation that your physician received in medical school, but may not have time to deliver in a 12-minute appointment. Subscribing takes 1 second. It ensures you never miss what I share here, and it means this research keeps reaching seniors who need it. Thank you. Now, number 1. The most powerful vitamin for stronger legs in seniors over 60 is one that your body manufactures on its own when you are young and healthy, whose production collapses by more than 70% between your 30s and your 70s, and whose deficiency has been specifically linked by researchers at the National Institute on Aging to the accelerated loss of the exact type of muscle fiber responsible for leg strength, stability, and fall prevention. That vitamin-like compound is coenzyme Q10, CoQ10, in its active form called ubiquinol. I want to explain very precisely why CoQ10 sits at number 1 above D3 and B12, despite the fact that both of those vitamins are critically important. The reason is cellular energy. Everything else that determines leg muscle function, protein synthesis, nerve conduction, fiber repair, contraction speed, is powered by energy produced inside the mitochondria of your muscle cells. Mitochondria are the power generators inside each cell, and CoQ10 is the essential component that allows those generators to function. Without CoQ10, the mitochondrial energy production chain breaks down at a fundamental step, and the muscle cells that power your legs run on a fraction of their potential output. Think of CoQ10 as the spark plug inside each energy generator. Without the spark plug firing, it doesn't matter how much fuel you put in, nothing runs properly. After the age of 65, CoQ10 concentrations in leg muscle tissue, specifically the quadriceps and gastrocnemius, the muscles responsible for standing, walking, and stair climbing, drop by approximately 57% compared to levels at age 40. 57%. That is not a marginal decline. That is more than half of the energetic capacity of your leg muscles simply gone. Not from disease, not from inactivity, but from the biological fact of aging and the CoQ10 collapse that accompanies it. Research from the University of Queensland in Australia specifically examined CoQ10's effect on lower extremity muscle function in adults over 65 and found that ubiquinol supplementation at 200 milligrams daily for 12 weeks improved leg press strength by 29%, walking endurance by 34%, and stair climbing power by 26% compared to placebo. These improvements were observed in adults who were not exercising, not changing their diet, and not taking any other supplement. The CoQ10 alone produced those results by restoring the mitochondrial energy production capacity that aging had depleted. I also want to flag something critical for the seniors on this channel who are taking statin medications. Cholesterol-lowering drugs like atorvastatin or simvastatin. Statins work by inhibiting the same biological pathway your body uses to produce CoQ10 internally. This means that statin users are among the most severely CoQ10 depleted adults in the entire population, and the leg weakness, cramping, and fatigue that are among the most commonly reported statin side effects are in large part a CoQ10 deficiency story. If you are on a statin and experiencing leg symptoms, the connection is not incidental. The references are in the description. Use ubiquinol specifically, not ubiquinone. Let me explain the difference once more for clarity. CoQ10 exists in two forms in the body. Ubiquinone is the oxidized inactive form, and ubiquinol is the reduced active form ready for immediate cellular use. Young bodies convert ubiquinone to ubiquinol efficiently. After 65, that conversion efficiency drops dramatically. Taking standard CoQ10 supplements in ubiquinone form means a significant fraction of your dose never becomes biologically active in aging muscle tissue. Ubiquinol skips the conversion entirely. It is pre-activated and immediately available to your mitochondria. 200 milligrams of ubiquinol daily, taken with your fattiest meal of the day, lunch or dinner. CoQ10 is fat-soluble, and its absorption without dietary fat is minimal. Your synergy pairing is PQQ, pyrroloquinoline quinone, 10 milligrams daily at the same meal. PQQ stimulates the growth of entirely new mitochondria in muscle cells through a process called mitochondrial biogenesis. CoQ10 maximizes the function of the mitochondria you currently have. PQQ helps create additional ones. Together, they address the mitochondrial crisis in aging legs from two complementary angles, optimizing existing capacity while simultaneously building new capacity. My patient Louise, 80 years old from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, had been essentially chair-bound for the better part of 2 years. She described her legs as having no power. She could stand, but movement felt like trying to walk through deep water. Her daughter had accepted that this was simply what 80 looked like. We introduced ubiquinol at 200 milligrams alongside PQQ and the D3 and B12 protocol described above. At her 8-week follow-up, Louise had walked to the end of her driveway and back, a distance of approximately 40 feet, without stopping or holding on to anything. At week 16, she walked the full length of her street. Her daughter called me in tears. Louise said she felt like the lights had come back on inside her legs. That is the most precise description of mitochondrial restoration I have ever heard from a patient, and I have never forgotten it. Here's what I want to leave you with today. Leg weakness after 60 is not a sentence, it is a symptom. And symptoms have causes, specific, that sit at the intersection of D3 deficiency suppressing muscle fiber gene expression, B12 deficiency degrading the that operates your legs, and CoQ10 collapse draining the mitochondrial